We are now live. Hello, my name is Jack from tofluency.com, and you are watching this live lesson about how to learn English. And maybe you're watching the replay. What I'm going to do right now is just turn on my webcam and say hello. So it looks like it's dark at the moment, but it's not, because what I've done is I have drawn the curtains here, these curtains, and turn on these lights. And it just helps me control the light in here a little bit better for these live lessons. So yeah, I just want to say thank you all for being here. It's great to have you here if you're watching live. If you're watching the replay, welcome to you too. Now, I can currently see some questions down the side, and I'm going to answer those questions later at the end of the lesson. But what I'm going to do now is share the screen again and go through the initial part of the lesson, the presentation part, and then we'll do the live questions at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen and bring up the presentation for today. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Hopefully that is clear for you. And let's get started. So today, we're going to go through a lesson with further examples. Okay, so I'm going to go through one of my video lessons, and I'm going to show you some further examples and give a better explanation, or not a better, but a longer explanation of what I was teaching in that video. Then we'll have a look at the To Fluency community comment of the week / month. It looks like I'm doing this weekly now, so it's a comment of the week. We'll have a look at that. Then I'm going to share some news with you. I'll give you a Fluency tip, a quote, the quote of the week, and then we'll do the Q&As. But firstly, I just want to talk about the sponsor for this live lesson, and that is the 5-step plan premium version. Now, a lot of you will already have my book, and if you don't, you can get that. But those who have the book but don't have the premium version, go to tofluency.com/audio, and you'll be able to purchase the audio book, the 2 video lessons, a worksheet that comes with this 5-step plan, and then a bonus PDF all about the common mistakes that English learners make and how to avoid them. So the link is also in the description if you're watching the replay, but check that out. Go to tofluency.com/audio. So the lesson this week is think about doing something. So last week I tried to embed the video or share the video within the Hangout, and it didn't work. So this week I'm just going to bring up the video and share this screen, and we're going to watch the video together. It's only about 1.5 minutes, so it's pretty short. And then we'll look at the further analysis for this. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. Let me share my screen again. Just going to say hello, back on camera, and I'm going to try and find this video. Okay, so there it is. So I'm going to maximize this and play this for you. Hope you guys are ready. And in this video, I'm going to introduce a phrase that I've just used in one of my free lessons. And it is this: I'm thinking about getting. Now, I use this because I showed everyone who watched this video live, I showed them a new camera that I'm very excited about, a camera that I'm thinking about getting, okay? And what I want to do is just to break down this sentence for you. So firstly, we're using I'm, then thinking about getting. So you can see here that after using the verb think, we're using the preposition about. Now you have 2 choices here. You can use about or you can use of. And in most cases, they are interchangeable. So it means that it's very flexible in this case. But I used the preposition about, and after the preposition, we use the gerund, getting, the ing, getting. So I'm thinking about getting a new camera. Let me know in the comment section if you're thinking about getting anything at the moment. So let me know what you're thinking about getting in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so that video is, you've probably seen this before. You've probably seen this video before. But what I'm going to do now is go through further details and give you more examples about using this phrase and using similar phrases too. So let me just share the screen again and share the presentation. So as you just saw, the phrase that we used in this example, in this lesson, was this. I'm thinking about getting a new camera. I'm thinking about getting a new camera. So this is using the verb think, then the preposition about, and then the gerund, getting. Now, we can also use the preposition of. So in the first example, I'm thinking about getting. We can also use of. I'm thinking of getting a new camera. This is simply think plus of plus the gerund getting. Now, this example shows you how to use it in the past. I was thinking about getting a new bike. So it's the same pattern, thinking about getting. And then here is another example using the present perfect continuous. I've been thinking about getting an iPhone. I've been thinking about getting an iPhone. True story. So this is showing you a verb pattern, okay? This is all about verb patterns. It's the verb plus the preposition plus the gerund. The verb plus the preposition plus the gerund. And this is one of the types of verb patterns that we can use. Now, I made a video on all the different verb patterns that are in English, and you can check out that video on my YouTube page. And I'll also link to that in the description if you are watching the replay. Here is another example of using this type of pattern. I decided against doing it. I decided against doing it. So what we have here, we have the verb decide, the preposition against, and the gerund doing. So that is what we're using here. I decided against doing it. Another example is this one. And this is used a lot, especially in British English. And I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing it. And this just means I don't want to do it. This is something I don't want to do. You don't have the want to do this. So we have the verb feel, the preposition like, and the gerund doing. And here's another one which I thought was pretty fun. I dream of traveling the world. I dream of traveling the world. Now I put here again because in 2007 I went traveling for a few months in North and South America. But again, we have the verb dream, preposition of, and then the gerund travel, or traveling, sorry. Now, one thing I want to say here, and those who follow me will already know this, explanations help, but you need to recognize the patterns in a natural way, okay? So it's important to recognize those patterns in a natural way. I'm going to talk about how you can do that further in this lesson, or later in this lesson. So if you're watching live, just to say, please send me a question. It can be a question about what we're talking about right now. It can be any kind of question related to me, related to learning English, anything at all. But just use the question and answer feature to send me a question. We've already had a few so far, and we'll go through those later. Now it's time for comment of the week, and it was Gemma's turn last week, and this week it's a great comment, and it's something that a lot of people have asked me about. Okay, a lot of people have asked me about how to use what we're going to see in a moment. So I posted on Facebook, I just asked a simple question. Did you watch my live lesson yesterday? Did you watch my live lesson yesterday? And Emin, who is now a To Fluency program member, said, unfortunately, I missed today's live lesson since I worked until 9 p.m, but I'm sure that it was great. I wonder if your live lessons are going to continue. So I want to put the focus on this bit here, wonder. I wonder if your live lessons are going to continue. And this means I am curious to know if. I'm curious to know if your live lessons are going to continue. I wonder if your live lessons are going to continue. So this I wonder if is a very common thing when we are curious to know about something. Now, you can simply directly ask someone and say, are your live lessons going to continue? But when we use this I wonder, it's putting the focus on being curious, like you really want to know about this. For example, I'll give you two more examples. I wonder if Dave is still happy in that relationship. I'm curious to know if Dave is still happy in his relationship. I wonder if he is still happy. I wonder if it's going to rain later. You know, I'm curious to know if it's going to rain later. So this is a really good phrase to use, you know, a verb to use. I wonder if. And I'll have another video on this coming very soon. Now I want to share some To Fluency news, something that has happened recently. And a lot of you will already know because I sent an email out. I posted this on YouTube. I posted it on Facebook. But yesterday we did a live lesson. I say we because the person you can see on your screen is my wife. So this is a live lesson that we gave on Periscope. My wife had a day off yesterday. She wasn't working and she agreed to join me on Periscope. And we talked about living in America, the difference between British and American English. We answered questions from people who watched the lesson live. So it was a wonderful lesson. I really enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it. And hopefully she's going to be back and joining To Fluency for more lessons moving forward. Now, if you're watching the replay, you can click the link in the description and it will take you to that lesson, the recording of it. If you are here live, just know that you can find it to fluency.com/blog and you will find that video there. Now it's time for To Fluency Tip, the To Fluency Tip. And yeah, last week we talked about making English a habit, making it part of your life. And this is really important. This week, it's all about repetition, okay? Getting smart repetition, getting repetition that's going to help you, because that's really important. Now, I'm just going to turn on my camera for this part and I'll come back to the presentation. But repetition is such an important part of learning English or learning anything really. It's this repetition that's going to help us recognize the patterns in English, recognize the grammar, but also it's going to help us remember words and phrases. So it's really important to get repetition in your learning. And there are different ways that we can do this. And that's what I'm going to share in this To Fluency tip. So go back to the presentation. And firstly, I just want to introduce this because people say that irregular verbs are hard, okay? And this little example is going to help you understand just how important repetition is. But people say that irregular verbs are hard. They worry about the irregular verbs and the verb tables and how to conjugate these verbs in the past simple, in the present perfect, etc. So irregular verbs can cause problems for learners. However, think about the irregular verb here, to be. So to be is an irregular verb. It's not regular. And think about the conjugations. Think about how you use this. You know, I am tired. I am Jack. You are Paul. You are over there. He is. They are, etc. You know how to conjugate the verb to be. You know how to use this verb. And that is because you have had lots of repetition. You have seen this many times. You have used this in lots of different ways. And what we can draw from this, the conclusion is that nothing is hard. We just need to get the repetition. So nothing is hard in English. This includes phrasal verbs, conditionals, advanced grammar, or what people say advanced grammar is. Nothing is hard. We just need to get the repetition and to see this many times. And there are two main ways that we can do this, or two ways that we can do this in a smart and fun way, in a way that's actually going to help you. The first one is narrow reading and listening. Now, I've made a video on this, and I've also got lots of materials on this in the To Fluency program. But narrow reading and listening is this. Imagine that Dave really likes politics and he is learning English. Now, to get narrow reading and listening, what he can do is he can watch the presidential debates in the US. So he can watch this on television. Then he can read an article in the newspaper about these debates. Then he can talk about this with his teacher in his English lesson. Then he might listen to a podcast about these debates. What happens is you get the words, phrases, idioms, and the grammar repeated over again, but in a fun and a natural way. So it's a very natural way to get repetition. And this is something that you can do. Think about your interests. Think about what you enjoy doing, and then get this narrow reading and listening. Watch a documentary, listen to a podcast, read a book on whatever topic you enjoy. Now, the second way is this, the sentence method. And the sentence method is a way for you to get the repetition you need and to be very efficient about it. Now, we're using sentences here because when you learn through sentences, you learn so much more than just single words. And it helps you get the context of the word or phrase that you're learning. So the sentence method is a very powerful thing to do. Now, I have some software in the To Fluency program where you can do this very efficiently. And it can take care, or it handles this whole method for you. And it's a very powerful thing to do. So check out the sentence method inside the program if you are a member. And if not, you can get this method if you join the To Fluency program. Now, I've got a quote for you. This is from a golfer called Gary Player. And it is this: the harder I work, the luckier I get. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And this is true for learning English and for everything else, because when you work hard, when you put in the work, when you take action and actually do what you need to do, then you are going to get opportunities. Your English is going to improve and you're going to get opportunities. And this quote is good for learning English, learning any language, or for life in general. So I hope you like this quote as much as I do. Before we go into the Q&A, just one last word about the sponsor. To fluency.com/audio, you're going to get an audiobook, the actual book as well in the PDF format. You're going to get 2 video lessons with transcripts, a worksheet that will help you come up with your own plan for English fluency, and then a PDF that looks at the common mistakes that English learners make and how to overcome them. So check that out, to fluency.com/audio. It's only $7. People love it, and I think you will too. Now I'm going to turn on my webcam again and say hello, welcome. Hello again if you're watching live. It's good to have you here. So I'm going to have a look at some of these questions now, and we'll go through them. Please send in your questions now if you're watching live. There is a little feature, Q&A feature, and you can send me any question that you have. So let's have a look. What's the best way to get ready for IELTS? What's the best way to get ready for IELTS? So if you don't know, the IELTS exam is an exam that a lot of people have to take if you want to move to an English-speaking country or go to a university in the UK, Australia, etc. So it's a very popular exam right now. Now, the best way to get ready for this is to focus on two things. Firstly, focus on your general English. So enjoy yourself, listen to things you enjoy, have conversations with people, do things like the sentence method and to get narrow reading and listening. And then the second thing you can do, or the second general thing to do, is to then get past papers and go through this. So know exactly what the format of the exam is. Go through the exam and get used to it and get feedback from a teacher on your writing and on your speaking, because you can test your reading online, you can test your listening yourself, but you really need a teacher to get that feedback. Another quick tip is to know if you're going to take the general or the academic exam, because there are two types of exams there. The other thing is as well is just to enjoy it. You know, enjoy the exam, enjoy the experience, and yeah, good luck with that. Let's have a look. More questions. Please tell us about pronunciation, how to say vowels. I'm going to select that answer. This is from Olga. Thank you for this question. Yeah, so pronunciation is a big topic. It's a very big topic, and it's something that most learners don't spend enough time working on. I find that learners spend more time on grammar than they do on pronunciation and speaking. And pronunciation is just such an important part of improving your English. I have a new video coming soon that talks about how pronunciation and working on your pronunciation can actually help your listening. But, you know, in terms of how to say vowels, what you need to do, okay, and I've got a resource for this inside the To Fluency program, and send me an email, jack@tofluency.com, and I'll just send you the link to the resource. It shows you exactly what happens with the mouth when you say the different vowel sounds. So it gives you a visual, and it shows you what to do with your lips, teeth, tongue, mouth in general. If it vibrates, if your vocal cords vibrate, it's a very useful tool. And then that helps you be aware of exactly what you're doing as well. Now, another method I have is the listen, repeat, record, compare method, the LRRC method. And this is where you listen to a sound or listen to someone speaking, and then you repeat after them. And then you compare your version to the original. And that helps you make adjustments as well. But yeah, you need to know exactly what is happening inside the mouth in order to say the vowels correctly. Just going to read some more comments here. Can we say travel? Okay, I'm just going to select this so I can see it. Glenn asks, can we say travel around the world? Exactly. Yeah, travel around the world. And this just gives you the image of, you know, moving around and doing it at one time. So travel the world, travel around the world, both are really good. Ahmed, I think that's how I pronounce it. Sorry if that's wrong. Can I say hi to people while watching Jack is talking? Yeah, so on these YouTube lessons, on these live lessons, there isn't a comment feed. Instead, I see these questions, which is a little bit different to Periscope, which is where I normally do the live lessons. Got another question here from, I'm trying to translate that into English. I can't, it's a Russian or Ukrainian name, but is it important to learn new words, or is it better to learn them in a native way? I think what you're asking here is it important to learn words on their own or to learn them naturally? Now, what we just talked about with the repetition and also the sentence method. Let's start with repetition. When you get lots of repetition and lots of input, then you're going to learn new words and phrases. But the sentence method is more of a specific way, more of an active way to learn new words and phrases. And I recommend doing both. I recommend getting words and phrases through repetition and input, and then also getting them in a more active way where you're doing something specifically to learn those words. And the sentence method is the best way to do that. We've got another question here from Alex from Brazil. Verbs plus infinitive or ing. Sometimes for me it's hard to know which one is correct. Yeah. So in this case, it is. You know, it's difficult to know which one is correct. But it just takes time. It's just like everything else. There's no rule to say this is when you use this one and this is when you use this one. It's just about getting used to them. And like before, explanations can help, and seeing these examples and seeing verb plus infinitive, etc. But the best way you're going to do this or know which one to use is to get so much input, repetition, that it just feels normal for you. Cool. So let's have a look. Okay, Anna has a question. Anna is a To Fluency program member. Do you think I should write the answer in my language Portuguese when using the Anki app? So this is the sentence method. Now, this really depends. I think writing it in Portuguese can help, but put it on the back of the card. This is getting very specific to those who don't know what it is. But yeah, so if you write the translation on the back of the card, that's fine. But be very careful about the translations, because what we're doing is learning through sentences. So you'll have to know the exact translation, phrase for phrase, not word for word, but phrase for phrase. Now, those are my dogs right now. The mailman is here. Quickly, phrase books are great for this because they have sentences and sentences. So ensure that you have the correct one to use. Otherwise, you know, as I talk about in the sentence method and that tutorial, you can write the definition of the word in English or just a quick reminder or a picture, something like that, that just helps you remind part of the sentence that you're learning. But great question. Is there a different, this is from Mr. Joker, cool name. Is there a different language, Australia from USA? Same language, but it's a different dialect and different type of English. So Australian English, British English, Irish English, American English, all these different variants. And Australia is one of them. Australian English is closer to British English than American English. Let's have a look. We are. Zara asked a question that I'm going to have to answer later because I'm going to have to look that up. Call it a day from yes. Okay, great one. Murad here says, call it a day from yesterday's video. So to call it a day means to end something. And you use this in like business meetings, anything that you're doing that you want to say, let's stop this here. Lessons are great. You know, these live lessons, I can say later, let's call it a day and finish the lesson. So it's a great way to do this. It's a good phrase to know, call it a day. So I'm just going to have a look at this. This is a good question. Manuel asks, What is the best way to put the adverb in the sentence? For example, actually, I am starving. I am actually starving, or I am starving actually. The first two are the right ways to do it. Actually, I'm starving, but I am actually starving just makes it stronger. It puts more stress on that. I'll make a quick video about that later. It's a good one. And then Buhan says, how to improve grammar. Okay, so that's been the theme of this lesson, and also of my videos in general, how to learn grammar. And it's a lot better to internalize grammar, to, instead of looking at the rules and memorizing the rules, it is better to recognize these patterns in a more natural way. And that's through repetition and the sentence method, lots of practice, speaking, listening, etc. You're going to recognize these patterns and these grammar patterns the more you do this. Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to call it a day now. There's a couple more questions left, but I'm going to save them for later. So thank you for being here. If you came to this live lesson, what I want you to do, if you're watching the replays, to share this. You can share this as well if you're watching live. And yeah, check out tofluency.com/audio to get your premium version of the 5-step plan. So thank you all for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.